My family's been away, so that means I get to catch up on some stuff I haven't seen. It also means I don't have to clean the kitchen or shave. And really, it's getting harder to go near the bathroom because I'm doing this thing where I see how many times I could go before I absolutely have to flush. It's like a sinkhole in that thing. I do the same thing with the litter box, and the cats hate me so much right now.
A soliloquy for every movie, from Casablanca, Tommy Boy. He's here, it's him, it's Andrew Toy.
So I stay up way past my bedtime, and I watch all the movies that I loaned from the library, because that is a thing. I bet you didn't know that. So go ahead and cancel all of your streaming subscriptions and put your local tax dollars to good use and get yourself a library card. Subscribe for more pro tips. So what have I been watching? Normally, I go back and rewatch things I already know I love. Some standbys are Titanic, Moneyball, anything by Quentin Tarantino, because for some reason, my wife doesn't want our kids to watch those movies. But this time, I've dedicated myself to watching old and new movies that I've just never gotten around to seeing. Oh, and full disclosure, I don't ever watch a trailer or read what the movie is about before I watch it. I like to go in as blind as a seeing eye dog's master. The first movie up that I watched was Broken Arrow. I knew this was by John Woo, so it could go either way. It could go the way of Face Off and be an utter and complete stupid barrel of joy and the source of all my happiness, or it could go the way of Mission Impossible 2, where I just want to slaughter all of his damn doves and shove them uncooked down his throat. While watching this, I kept thinking that John Woo did 2003's Hulk, but it turns out that was Ang Lee. These Asian people, all their last names sound the same. And stop it. Stop. I'm allowed to say that because my last name is Toy.
T-O-Y. Toy.
Telemarketers talk to me loud and slow. Of course, that's also probably because I answer the phone sounding like an Asian. Broken Arrow stars John Travolta from Face Off, and weirdly, Christian Slater. I only know him as Robin Hood's brother. I'm pretty sure that's the only other movie I've seen this guy in. Oh, and Ferngully, he voiced Pips. Clearly a highlight of his career. Like I said, I go into movies blind, but I'm also really bad at picking up on subtleties and foreshadowing that a good director will put in their film for smart people to work through. But I didn't have that problem with this movie. No, sir, no. Broken Arrow starts off with our two leads sparring in a boxing ring. Then the very next scene, they're goofing off in the locker room like they're best buds in a very non-gay way. And alone in the house, I said out loud to my cat, I said, they are totally going to turn on each other. Just watch. You just watch and see. In a more subtle movie, I would not have picked up on that. I don't think I would have caught on to that at all. And then a couple of minutes later, they're both flying in a B-3 stealth bomber to do a test of some sort with nuclear missiles. I didn't really get why the test was necessary, especially with real nuclear missiles. But my undying belief was proven true. They turned on each other. But in the most embarrassing way possible. Let me explain. In a good movie, the twist is going to come out fast and hard. You're not going to see it coming. Like when the mask comes off the bad guy, it should catch you off guard. And you're like, what?
You're out of your box.
But not this movie. No, don't worry. This movie's going to go out of its way to prepare you for what's to come. Travolta and Slater are bullshitting in the cockpit, and Christian Slater turns to Travolta and says,
I know you. You love having the power of God at your fingertips. Get off on it.
And then the camera lingers on John Travolta's face. And then the movie does this, just in case you didn't catch it before. And then John Travolta's like,
look out your window.
Gullible as a goose, Christian Slater turns around and looks out the window. And then we get another 2 to 3 seconds of John Travolta scrunching up his face like the bad guy he is. And then he whips his gun out, in slow motion, of course, because, you know, MI2, John Woo. And he tries shooting him, and he knocks the gun out, and the whole story begins at that moment. And that just stuck with me, because in a better movie, in a movie that's not Broken Arrow, the goal would be to make the reveal surprising. Like Christian Slater would have looked out the window without any prompting, And then that's when John Travolta would whip the gun out totally unexpected. You're like, whoa! Of course, I'm sure the trailer had already established that John Travolta was the bad guy, which is why I hate trailers. So maybe he was just playing into what you already knew was coming. As for the rest of the movie, eh. Now, I do like the concept of being trapped out in the desert with a lunatic hunting you down as you're up against the ticking time clock of the nuclear weapons. It's that stupid 90s action that I really love. In fact, 90s action is my favorite genre. Not action movies, because there's a lot of bad ones, but it has to be 90s action. Action movies, but born out of the Clinton years, when Harrison Ford and Mel Gibson and Bruce Willis dominated the silver screen. Not so much John Travolta.
I'm the man.
Broken Arrow just didn't deliver for me, and it could be because I didn't grow up watching it, so I don't have that nostalgia factor to hang on to. It was definitely stupid enough to laugh at a couple of times, but I saw it last week and I really can't tell you too much more about it. So no, I don't really feel the need to ever go back to this movie, but I will be returning to Face Off. Face Off. Next up is Super Troopers. This is one of those movies that I've heard referenced quite a few times. And obviously I was familiar with the DVD cover, but beyond that, nothing. Super Troopers was nothing like I expected. I thought it was going to be like a bunch of skinny Chris Farleys acting all crazy and zany, dressed up as deputies and officers. But this was a much more highbrow movie than I thought it would be. Not that it's fine dining, but the officers in this movie take their job as state troopers seriously. Sure, they prank each other and they bone hot traffic offenders, but there's a real plot to this movie. Their division is about to shut down, so if one of the guys steps out of line or breaks a rule, then it hurts all of them. So in that way, it was a lot like Tommy Boy, where, yeah, it's a comedy, but it has substance, but the substance wasn't boring. The substance didn't weigh the comedy down, they balanced each other out, and then there's the drug crime that needs to be solved. Factor that whole thing where you've got to kind of play detective and figure out who's who and what's what, kind of elevates this comedy a little bit higher than most others. I'll probably watch the second one before the third one comes out to theaters this year, but I really don't expect either of them to be as good as this one. And I do think that upon another viewing, it's going to be even funnier, which is what I plan on doing. I would love to watch Super Troopers again, just alone, not with the family, 'cause sex and all. And finally, the last one for this round, I wanted to watch something new, so I watched Send Help. Knowing that Sam Raimi was the director made me hopeful that this would be a fun little horror flick. And it's movies like this that going in blind really has its advantages. Sure, I'd seen the cover, so I knew that it was some island movie with some crazy ass girl. And so when the movie opens up in an office full of cubicles, and this girl, brilliantly played by Rachel McAdams, is being bullied and overlooked at her job, it threw me for a spin. Of course, I was able to piece together that she would be sent on a work trip and she'd somehow get stranded on an island, but I didn't know with whom and how she would react to the situation. And that is what I love about the movie. The film establishes early on that even though she's the runt of the litter in the corporate world, she's a girl that just hasn't found her element yet. And so lo and behold, when she finds herself stranded on an island, her inner being comes to life, the way a penguin does discovering snow for the first time. And I like that. They could have taken the easy route and just made her adaptable to the castaway situation overnight, but they didn't. They established that this is the world that she was meant to thrive in. I'm pretty sure this is labeled as a horror, but I didn't get that feeling at all. Yeah, it's gory, but it's only as gory as it needs to be, and it's also really funny. You have oil and water stuck on this island, and one person is determined to stay on the island no matter what, while the other one desperately wants to get off, so only one person can win in this situation. There are also a lot of unexpected twists and turns. This is one of those movies where it's pretty much impossible to guess how it's all going to roll out, but the way it does still leaves you very satisfied. And it's plausible in a very zany, cartoony way. So if you're queasy and you don't like the Final Destination type of violence, stay away from this. Otherwise, I think you could have I had a lot of fun with this movie. I thought it was one of the best movies of 2026 so far. So that's what I've watched. The next time I do one of these videos, I'll be talking about 3 more movies: Dick Tracy, Bad Company, and Dragon, the Bruce Lee story. All movies I'd never seen before or don't remember seeing. And do you notice a theme with all of these movies? Because if you do, you're totally weird. I'm just picking these movies out as randomly as a Rubik's Cube. Anyway, I'm Andrew Toy. 再见